if you want to influence people, win friends and influence people, is to be genuinely interested in people. Okay. Be genuinely interested in others. And okay, so you might be saying, AJ, okay, so what do you mean? Well, let me explain it to you with a story. Okay. About a few years ago, my wife and I, it was my wife and her family, and my wife's a college professor. So we were actually visiting a U of H football team, and she ran into this kid who was very, very promising, when he was in high school, but now he was in the master's program at U of H. Okay. And so we ran into this guy, and this guy literally spent, okay, listen to this. He literally spent about 15 minutes telling us all of the wonderful things that he was doing, okay? How he was getting his master's, and how he had been on the honor roll and the dean's list, and how he had gotten scholarships and he gotten fellowships, and he was just really kicking ass. And do you know, within that 15-minute conversation, we're all standing there, and not once did he say, well, how you doing, Miss Fain? Not once did he ask how my wife is doing, especially considering she had actually written this kid a recommendation letter to even get into college. Okay? So, what is the lesson here? Well, let me ask you this question before I tell you the lesson. How many times have you run into someone, okay, and they talked about themselves, they just kept talking about themselves and how they were doing wonderful and how they were doing this and they were doing that and they were growing this, and not once did they ask you, about your family, or about anything that has to do with what's going on in your life? It's a simple question. It's a simple question. And you know people that are like that. Personally, I know a guy I've been knowing for like 25 years. Every time I talk to this guy, I say to him, I ask him, I say, well, how's your mom doing? Right? Well, how's everything going? And how's your mom doing? Do you know, for like 4 years straight, this guy never asked me back, well, how's your mom doing? Especially since the guy actually lived with us for a long time. Okay? When we were kids, he actually lived with us, but yet he did not or does not ask about my mom, right? Meaning that, the selfishness is a lot of times the selfishness is innate. It's in us, right? And so what we do is, when we're not aware of how selfish we are, we tend to show how selfish we are by only talking about things of interest to us, okay? Of interest to us. And when we do that, a lot of people are very keenly aware of how you only talk about yourself and you never ask about anyone else. And so those people, believe it or not, that is a turnoff. So my recommendation to you, and is like a rudiment premise of Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is to genuinely be interested in others, even if you're not. You might even say, well, what the hell you mean, AJ? Even if you're not. At the very least, be courteous enough to ask them, well, how's everything going with you? What you got going on? Speaking of, people at Starbucks, like workers at Starbucks and at Trader Joe's and other department stores or other grocers or other just service stores, you ever notice how they always ask you, so what you got going on today, right? Do you know they've actually been trained to ask you that question so you can open up, okay? So you can open up to actually share with them what your day is like. And you want to know why they've been taught that? Because to genuinely be interested in others means people, when you open up to others, then people open up to you. And next thing you know, especially in the service industry, you start gaining a loyal customer, especially if whatever you're selling, your product or service, is good. So the lesson to you as an entrepreneur is to genuinely be interested in others. Ask them how they're doing. Ask them how their family's doing without being too intrusive and too, overbearing, but ask them. Because guess what? You might find out something about the person or that you're trying to influence and that you're trying to win over as a friend to help you along your entrepreneur journey, you might find out something that you guys may have in common, or you guys or girls may have in common. And you might also be able to use that information, okay, to actually help you land big accounts, help you maintain stronger relationships with clients. And this will be the last story I give you as far as number one, be genuinely interested in others. Some years back, I was in the radio business. I was heavy into the radio business, but on the account executive side, right? And I made it a habit, okay, to know the likes and dislikes of all of my customers. I knew one particular customer absolutely 100% loved chocolate, okay? But not chocolate like Godiva chocolate or Hershey's or whatever. They loved chocolate, but let me tell you what else they loved. More importantly, they loved their company, they loved their mission, they loved what they were doing. And so one year, right before budgets was being put together for the next year of this business, I had a personalized chocolate replica done of their logo, and I actually delivered it to the client. And the client not only was so grateful, but increased how much they spent with me by 30% for the next year. So what did that roughly mean to me in my pocket? That meant an extra $13,000 in my pocket for the year just from that one client. Now you multiply that times 10 clients that I was doing special things for like that, and then you can start to do the math and see the type of money that I was making in radio. I hope you get that. Number one, be genuinely interested in others, and I hope those illustrations helped you understand why you should be genuinely interested in others.